Did you know that the Greek myth and concept of the Amazon warrior women was most likely derived from the nomadic Scythians? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about the ancient nomadic culture known as the Scythians. Don't forget, the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on any new uploads. World History Encyclopedia is a non-profit organisation, so if you'd like to support our work, you can head to our Patreon via the link in the top corner of the screen or via the Patreon link down below. The Scythians were a nomadic culture which flourished between the 7th and the 3rd centuries BCE, as their territory expanded from Thrace in the west across the Central Asian Steppe to the Altai mountains in Mongolia. On the steppe, which is basically an open swathe of grasslands, they lived in nomadic tribes, which meant that they didn't have permanent cities. Instead, they travelled on horseback and lived in house wagons, which, when they gathered them together, would have given the appearance of a city. Where did these nomadic peoples come from, you ask? Well, there are a number of different theories. Herodotus, the Greek historian, writing in the 5th century BCE, says they came west from Asia to Europe. Diodorus, another Greek historian writing in the 1st century BCE, claims the Scythians went north from the Armenian Araxes River. A more modern view is that the Scythians moved south in waves from the Volga-Ural steppe in modern-day Russia. Yet, while recent archaeological discoveries in the Altai mountains date Scythian settlements to the late 9th century BCE in the east, and Chinese chroniclers spoke of their red hair and blue eyes, and since their language was Indo-European, this suggests even earlier Bronze Age origins in Europe, possibly from the Celts. Their name comes from the Greek to shoot, as they were known for their skill in archery. Even their cousins, the Parthians, also famous mounted archers, were influenced by the Scythians. Regardless of their origins, it is generally agreed that the Scythian culture was made up of 4 main groups that shared a common culture, government, dress, and art style. These groups are the Pontic Scythians around the Black Sea area, the Sarmatians from the northern Caspian Sea and the Don and Volga River areas, which is now modern-day Russia, the Massagetai in the desert steppe of Central Asia, and the Saka in eastern Central Asia. What we understand about the Scythians has been built on the foundation of archaeological finds, especially since they left no written texts or records. Other than the archaeological trail of the Scythians, we also have texts surviving from the ancient world at the time they flourished, namely Akkadian cuneiform tablets, the writings of Herodotus and others. Herodotus's detailed account of Scythian burial procedures has been supported by archaeological evidence, so when it comes to the Scythians, he can be given the benefit of doubt. The ancient sources say that the Scythians were formidable warriors. Herodotus gives us a description of the Scythians based on their lifestyle and his perception of them in Book 4 of his Histories. And Akkadian tablets tell us they had a peace treaty with the Scythians, and even married off an Akkadian princess to a Scythian king for the peace treaty. Since the Scythians were nomads, moving around regularly on horseback in tribes unlike most other ancient cultures in the first millennium BCE, they didn't leave any cities or settlements. The places where we find the most evidence of the Scythians is in their burial mounds, known as kurgans, which were monumental burials for the elite of Scythian society. Many of these kurgans have been found in the Pazyryk Valley in the Altai mountains of Siberia. And due to the permafrost which encased the burials, even organic materials have survived until they were excavated. What this means is that not only have materials such as wood and leather survived, but clothing, shoes, and even skin. The most fascinating discovery from these burials was the tattoos which have survived since the skin is preserved. These tattoos were designed with zoomorphic symbols and animal art style, including big cats, deer, horses, and birds. This fluid transformation from one animal to another wasn't just seen in the preserved tattoos, but also on other small portable goods buried, that were often made of gold, bronze, or iron. It's obvious they were highly skilled in metalworking, since many of the gold items found have intricate and detailed designs that boast a sophisticated culture and society. The burials have given a glimpse into the lives of the Scythians, including their preference for tunics and trousers, their love of music and dance, shown with a lyre, panpipes, and drums found, as well as some items showing dancers swaying to music. There aren't just human remains found in these kurgans, but horses too. Excavated kurgans have brought to light sacrificed humans and horses buried along with highly developed, functional and lightweight bridles, saddles and halters. These nomads were experienced riders who bred horses and obviously cared for them deeply, since many that had been found buried were between 15 and 20 years old. Horses are also frequently depicted in the art of the Scythians and were essential for the movement of the tribes. It's also clear that the Scythians believed in an afterlife, since with the art and animals sacrificed, there were also weapons, wagon parts, textiles, clothing, food, and sealed wine placed with the deceased with the expectation that they will need this stuff for their next life. When it comes to women in Scythian society, we have quite a bit of archaeological and historical evidence concerning their women of high status, but not so much of the everyday woman. Warrior women were found in 1/5 of Scythian warrior burials from the 5th and 4th centuries BCE, giving us a possible historical origin for the Amazons in Greek mythology. The Amazons were warrior women and, according to Greek mythology, the children of the war god Ares. Legend has it they battled against the likes of Theseus, Hercules, and Bellerophon. Herodotus also tells us the Amazons ended up on the shores of Scythia, but after they raided Scythia's lands and stole their horses, the Scythians declared war on them. Herodotus doesn't tell us who won, but the Scythians were so impressed with their war skill they wanted to integrate them into their society. Eventually, some Scythians and the Amazons travelled east, making their own tribe with a Scythian hybrid language, and became the Sarmatians. The warrior women kept their independence and continued to fight and hunt alongside the men. And he even mentions Tomyris, the Scythian warrior queen who defeated Cyrus the Great in battle. Later in the 2nd century CE, the historian Appian supported Herodotus's claims of the warrior women of Scythia, including a mention of female rulers. Archaeology supports the claims of female warriors in Scythian society, since a significant number of the excavated female burials included weapons, and rich female burials including sacrificed horses and items of status. It's difficult to know whether the everyday woman had more freedom and power than women of other ancient cultures, but it is clear that women could hold high positions in society, both as warriors and civilians, and the myths concerning the Amazons most likely derived from Scythian culture. The Scythians used a bunch of different military equipment, including battle axes, swords, and shields, and most importantly, bows and arrows. They developed a powerful composite bow, which was made of different layers of wood. And there are many surviving artifacts that show Scythians loading their bow or firing it, often from horseback. For personal protection, they had scale armour and helmets. Found on a relief in Persepolis, you can see the Scythians with their pointed helmets. They were able to constantly stay on the move due to their nomadic lifestyle and were difficult to beat in battle. When in battle, the Scythians were fearsome warriors, but they also had an edge due to their unconventional fighting style and the fact that their enemies couldn't burn down or sack their cities because they didn't have any. In circa 512 BCE, the Scythians won a major victory under their king Edanthusus against the Achaemenid Persians under Darius the Great. Darius invaded Scythian lands, thinking to easily conquer them, but Edanthusus's horse archer guerrilla tactics and scorched earth policy forced the Persian king to sue for peace and withdraw. This victory greatly elevated Scythian status because before this, the Achaemenids were considered invincible, and that honorific was now applied to the Scythians. The Scythians later helped the Persians against the Greeks in the Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE and the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE, and they helped Darius III against Alexander the Great in the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE. As neighbours and cousins to the Parthians, the Scythians came to their aid when they were having succession issues, showing they were still a force to be reckoned with as late as the 1st century CE. The Scythians were at their height, however, during the 4th century BCE, when their king Attis united the tribes in a powerful coalition that expanded Scythian territories from modern-day Europe across to India. Attis's military success and power was at first encouraged by Philip II of Macedon, but in 339 BCE, Philip II attacked Attis, following a perceived insult. Attis was killed and the Scythian power was broken. During the 3rd century BCE, Scythian autonomy declined, and they mostly disappeared from the historical and archaeological record, showing up as late as the 3rd century CE in a greatly diminished form. In Europe, they seem to have been assimilated by a number of Slavic tribes, as well as the Goths, until they were devastated and scattered by the Huns, and later by the Alans. Although there is evidence of Scythian autonomy in the early centuries of the Common Era, they were no longer as powerful as they had been during their golden age between Adanthesis and Attis. Had you ever heard of the Scythians before this video? What about them do you admire most? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on our new videos. If you want to know more about the Scythians, be sure to check out our articles on Scythians and Scythian women down below. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. If you like my shirt, you can find this design and a bunch more at our shop at www.worldhistory.store, or you can find the link to our merch down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.